All right, a very good evening wherever you're watching us from. This is Cont'd TV, the 7th of August, and as always, the first Monday of every month. Time for that show, Uongozini, and of course, it's time for us now to continue the conversation that we had last time. On set, I still have them, the two musketeers. One, of course, I call him the main man, and this is the Reverend Robert Waihenya, is the Secretary General of the Presbyterian Church of East Africa. You look very sharp in red today.
Yeah, thank you.
And reason why in red today?
Well, can I say it is what my wife chose me to wear today.
Oh, great.
So this is what she gave me.
Okay.
So once I go back, I'll ask her why.
Why? But she loves bright colors. I always see you in bright colors.
Yeah. She's good in that, and you know, she always chooses colors for me. Personally, I prefer dark colors.
But she prefers brighter colors.
She prefers bright colors.
I'll ask Faith. Faith, what is your take on that? As you, I mean, you have your man getting out of the house, and you're the one to call the shots in terms of what he's wearing today.
I think,
do you have that confidence?
Yeah, we ladies are better with colors and all.
Yeah, sure.
So wacheni tuwapange.
That is it. So other than colors, it's about that time we continue with youth and leadership. And remember, you can engage us on our social media, Cont'd TV Kenya, across Facebook, and you know nowadays Twitter is no longer Twitter, it's X.
Yeah.
Instagram and all that. The SG, you are not on Twitter, now it's called X. Are you on X now?
Yes.
Finally.
It's only that I didn't understand. I was finding my phone ringing an X.
Yeah.
I could not understand, but later I found my Twitter handle was missing. That's when I realized that they have changed. All the same, I don't use it much, but I follow.
You follow what happens there.
What is happening.
That is good. So remember that you can engage us on that, and let's get your views on what is your take on youth and leadership. Last time we tackled a very big term here called FAB phobia, that fear of the youth, and that is particularly coming from the old elderly who believe or who don't think that the youth are the best place to give them competition in terms of leadership. Now, there is a term that I want us to begin with, SG, and this is called gerontophobia. And
Yes.
this is the fear of
the old people.
The old people.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you, Vincent. It is another good evening that we are meeting here so that we can continue discussing matters touching on the youth and leadership. And leadership in general.
Yeah.
And today, although we agree that this is not going to be a classroom Cairo, we are going to touch on several terminologies so that we understand where we are blocking or not engaging youth in leadership. Remember, last time we said we only have 10%. Youth constitute, we agree they constitute 75%
of the population.
Of the population. But it is only 10% of our youth who are engaged in real leadership. Only 10%, which is a very low number. And today, to start with the word or the terminology you've used, this is what we call gerontophobia. Gerontophobia is a situation where the young people fear the old people. And it is a real problem because the reason why we have this problem of gerontophobia is because the older people have for a long time dismissed the young people. And therefore, every time, instead of getting closer to them, advising them, working together, we don't engage them. That is why we have only 10% of youth who are more qualified, because they are more qualified than us academically and in terms of papers. The older people, most of them are qualified in terms of experience. And the older people are the ones who are determining the terms of the youth, how they are going to get into leadership. And this one creates a strife between the two. And the result of that is the young people hating and fearing these old people. And the moment they get a chance, they really frustrate them. They frustrate the old people. They use very derogatory language against them. And we have seen it even in the media, although at times it is used without the knowledge of the young people. It is out of bitterness, out of frustration, you know, seeing like they are blocking us, they are not giving us the opportunities to get into leadership. And out of this bitterness, out of this feeling like you don't want us, the young people fight back. We have seen it even in the church, because, and especially in the mainstream churches, where a majority of people who are in leadership are older people. And now this one brings to the next question: where is the cut line? Up, you know, from what age do we start saying these people are old? You see, where? Because that one is not very clear. Because to faith here, I'm very old, very old. When I go to some of my colleagues in the ministry,
you are relatively young.
They call me, you young man.
Kijana.
I wonder, you know, who is young here now? Because it depends with where you are. It depends with the side of sidelinement you are going through. So faith here might look at me and say, okay, why are you not considering us as young people? We've just had a debate here, you know, before we started the program, where you said you are the person who called the shots. Give faith an opportunity. You see, that is how the young people see it. You have that opportunity to give me the opportunity. You are the person who called the shots. You are not giving me the opportunity. So this problem of gerontophobia is coming about because the youth are feeling like, yes, we are not utilized, we are not wanted, and the old people are blocking us from accessing power.
Hold it there. I want to bring in faith and understand, is it a phobia that you have come across or a phobia that you've experienced yourself, gerontophobia, in that you look at a person and feel, man, I mean, you're too old. What are you doing there? Why are you blocking me? You don't want me to take that next step. And even from starting from home, you feel like the parents in their age, there are things that you know better than them, and they are like blocking you and not to experience what you want to. Is this something that you have experienced yourself, or you know, seen among your friends, your colleagues, your age mates, and all that?
Personally, I haven't experienced that, but...
Oh, you have experienced, but you never knew it exists, this phobia.
Yeah, probably I had a fear for older people, but let's say I haven't realized, maybe I have that. But I've had it with friends, especially in a family setup. You find that a youth in that family cannot be able to even decide little things like, what are we cooking for dinner, what are we cooking for lunch, and such things. It's somehow like they don't have a voice, even in the family. So even in leadership areas, for example in church, they're not bold enough to even stand out to that elder, to that deacon or whoever to say, this is what we need, this is our budget, how can you assist, how can you advise? So I think it begins from as low as a family setup.
Is it true that you know, this is propagated from either side, from maybe how the elder behave towards the young, and how the young also want to believe that they are right in some sector and they should be allowed to have an upper hand? Who propagates this? Who propagates this phobia?
Well, Vincent, It comes from
either
both
side.
sides. But from the perspective we are analyzing it here, we are looking at it from the perspective of the young people. Now, you know, feeling like we don't want these old people, these old guys, because they are blocking us. And we are saying it is true. Much as Faith is saying that she has not experienced it, definitely it is there. Look at when recently we had a president of a certain state, well, let me not just mention it, in Nigeria, we had a president who was elected, well, very old.
His Excellency Tinubu.
Yes. Yeah. And if she followed the discussion in the social media by the young people, trying to explain and bringing so many photos of that president who was elected at that age, and even us, we were feeling, oh, the man is really old. So that is why I'm saying it depends with the age you are, because you look at those there and say, sometimes during the reign of the former president, the late Mwai Kibaki, the youth again came up against the presidency. He's only appointing older people into his cabinet. That is exactly what we are calling gerontophobia. And now, the attack which was there for that president, for our former president, in the social media, because you are appointing, you know, you remember the issue of the Makerere boys? Those you are with at Makerere. You know, that is what we are calling gerontophobia. The young people rising against the older people. But now, that one brings another terminology, which actually is what causes irritation against the youth. This is what we call gerontocracy. Gerontocracy is a situation where we have the rule by the older people only. That, you know, look at the minister is an old person who is very old. The president is an old person. Everybody. So you get people, you recycle people, and when we have exclusive leadership by old people, that is what we call gerontocracy. Gerontocracy, it's what now causes the youth to rise above, you know, against the.
So what I'm understanding is that age is not a bad thing. Whether you are old as old as you can be, but what you do with that age, because you've said now gerontophobia, now it emanates from gerontocracy, in that I'm old and I want to exclusively do things my way. I'm not giving an opportunity for this young man to have their say as well. Now this is what is really bad about all this gerontocracy thing.
Because human being is made this way. If I know Kelosi, whom I've grown with, I tend to trust Kelosi. If I know Faith, I tend to trust Faith more, because we've grown up together. That is what brings this issue of gerontocracy, whereby you find when I am appointing people, I appoint people who were with me as I grew up. So at the exclusion of those others who are coming up,
who actually merit it.
Exactly. So that is a problem. And therefore, what I'm saying is that it is wrong, because both this issue of gerontophobia, and which brings about the issue of gerontocracy, brings two situations which are bad, both biblically, socially, and even in leadership. Because in the Bible, and we mentioned this last time, what we see in Moses is he's bringing both the old and the younger people together. He did not allow a situation of gerontocracy to prevail. Look at David. He did the same. The issue of gerontocracy did not came about because he was able to balance both the old and the young. Look at Paul. This is exactly what he did. Because when we allow gerontocracy, which comes from this gerontophobia, then we have another problem, which is called ageism. Ageism is a situation where we discriminate against the older people. And they are really discriminated. So everybody is saying, you retire, go home, you go and rest. You see, that is ageism, whereby we discriminate. The young people discriminate against the elderly, which is not very good in leadership. It is because, again, the young people need mentorship. This is a very negative and inaccurate stereotypes of the old people. You see, everybody is getting old, that is a fact. But true leadership, because we are talking about leadership, is a leadership which is aware of these stereotypes. Leadership which is aware that within every generation, we have the old, we have the young. And they need each other so that we avoid the situation of gerontophobia, and we also avoid the problem of gerontocracy. And there is another term today, I think. I think I could have begun by telling the viewer to have a pen and a paper, and also a dictionary. You know, because we have to learn a lot of terms today. Now, because of the experience, the young people have experienced the experience they have gone through. There is another problem now with the young people, the category of faith and the rest. And this is something we call gerontophobia. 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 Okay. Gerontophobia. No, I think we've talked about that. The gerontophobia. Grasscophia, is it? No. Yes. Gerascophobia. We discussed that one. Now we are talking about gerascophobia. Gerascophobia is now the situation the young people are going through. They are fearing getting old. And that's why we do a lot of things to remain young. Yes. You know, which is the fastest growing industry in Kenya and in the world? It's inaitwaje? These beauty things. Yes, cosmetics. Cosmetic and the like. So they are so fearful of getting old, and they are doing anything to prove that they are not old. Is it faith? What is I mean, making young people to really fear getting into an age where they are called old enough? Is it because you fear, or we fear, responsibility, or is it because of the experiences that we've seen from the old people or the elderly, or what? What do you think brings about these?
I think there's also that part that you've mentioned, fearing responsibilities. Because, you know, the older you grow,
the more the responsibilities.
And some are very unavoidable. So there's that fear, and again, you fear for those who like responsibilities and all. You fear that the same energy I have as a young person is not the same energy I will take to the older ages and years. So I believe it's the two, depending with the person.
Unasema hili nikae kwa nyumba ya mama miaka 45. Because we don't want to take responsibilities. Yes, even as we continue, SG, what then needs to be done for young people to really accept that, age is not a bad thing. Age is a good thing, either from the old or from the young. But what really needs to be done it's how you behave in that age. Because I also want to, even as Faith has said, that we fear responsibility, and we also fear what next in that age. But again, how the old or how the elder behave themselves, how they conduct themselves could also be a reason for me to think this is not an age or a group I want to get into.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think what we need to do is to learn how to trust each other. Number two, we need to mentor each other. And this squarely falls on the shoulders of the older people. They need to learn how to trust the young people, and they mentor them deliberately. There is a community here in Kenya, and I can just mention them, the Indian community. Mm-hmm. I admire them because Indians have learned how to trust their children.
Yeah.
If they are shopkeepers, they are there, all of them.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
And their children are taught how to go about their trade. Mm. If they are in industry, all of them are there.
Yeah.
So they are mentored. And even in their education, they are taken through the education, or a kind of education which will give back to the family business. Mm-hmm. And that is the reason why they are always ahead of us. Mm-hmm. They're not interested in many things. They are concentrating on whatever they are doing as a family. Mm-hmm. But for us, we do not mentor our own people. We do not mentor our own children. Mm-hmm. So I don't want my son to know what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. And therefore my son is not even interested with what I'm doing. Mm. So his interpretation is that dad has got a lot of money, and that is why he doesn't want me to get there. Mm. So every time I ask him for an iPhone,
he will.
So
he should.
He should, because he doesn't even know my world. He doesn't know how I'm thriving or surviving.
How you're struggling, actually.
They don't know. Yeah. So we are excluding our young people from what we are doing, including in the church. The reason why the young people are suffering from this phobia is because we are not engaging and involving them. So when we are engaging them, is when we are giving them amsomo and telling them, why did you do this? Why did you lose your phone? Why did
you're copying into that. It seems that has really touched home.
So
closer home.
Yeah, because when you hear dad is calling you, definitely.
Yeah,
we are not discussing business. Mom is calling you. No. It is not a kind discussion. We're not discussing anything. So what we are saying is that we should mentor, we should have dialogue, and we should trust our young people so that they are well prepared to take our position.
Sure.
Then they see us not as barriers, but aiders to where they want to go.
Yeah. Sure, allow me to take a short break. When we come back, we'll continue with a little bit of the barriers, and then now practically what needs to be done, of what now this is part of what you've said here to mentor. But before then, remember that you can engage us on social media, Cont'd TV Kenya. Our SMS number 0341 220044. We'll be able to look at what you say as far as this conversation is concerned. Are you a young people, a young person out there, and you feel that this conversation is touching closer home? Let's engage. Give us your feedback. Are you older there as well? Unasikia hii gerontocracy from the youth and the gascophobia is a problem, really? Please let us know, and we'll be able to handle that in studio. So do not go away. We'll be right back shortly. This is Uongozini, a show for the leader by the leader. Continues. Remember that you can also continue to engage with us and to be able to look at what you say are the right, at the end of this program, even as we continue. But right about now, I want to bring you in, Faith. What do you think are the barriers of, barriers to leadership for the youth? If I may ask that, from where you are seated, what do you think, even as you look around, you think these 1, 2, 3 things, if they were done right, ingekuwa vizuri zaidi?
First of all is to say that we lack capacity. We are not really people who have networked, as people might term it out there. So given an opportunity to mingle and interact with fellow leaders, you might be able to pick 1 or 2, 3 things from them. So we can urge the leaders up there to give us opportunities to be able to build our capacity in one or the other.
So lack of capacity is one of the barriers that you feel is limiting you to getting to the best as far as youth are concerned in leadership. SG, is that something that you copy? Is that something that you accept, that lack of capacity is actually hindering the youth from taking meaningful positions in leadership?
Yeah, I think it's true. Capacity is one issue. But I can look at capacity from various perspectives. Okay. Whether it is, because capacity can be defined from the social perspective. It can be looked from economic perspective, whereby, we have a big problem in Kenya, whereby people are forced to bribe
into positions,
into systems. So how many people can be? For instance, when it comes to something like army recruitment, and we hear that somebody is supposed to give 100,000 to join the army, or to join the police, or to join, an institution of repute. How many people can afford? So it will mean they don't have the capacity. And when we officialize this element of bribism and bribery to be the entry point, then we lose it. And we continue to lose very young people, because as far as that requirement is concerned, they don't have the capacity, which is wrong. Look at the university. How many people can afford to go to the university? They can't afford. because they don't have the capacity. And therefore, in the long run, we have those people with very good brains not being able to position themselves. Capacity.
Yeah, they are wasting out.
Capacity, capacity. When I love my church, because my church for all the years, everybody is given an equal opportunity. You are educated to become a pastor by the church. Although things are changing now. So, how many people have the capacity? We have a problem again, the youth not being knowledgeable. They don't have exposure. They don't know what is happening in the world, by the way. They don't. So that's a big barrier. So our youth are too local, thinking very local things, whereas the world is moving very fast. And therefore, we find youth who do not have any clue. And the world, through the social media, is keeping them busy with things which are not important, non-issues. Whereas they are not able to capture the real issues. They lose it. And that becomes a big problem. So the capacity of the youth, then there are other barriers. Look at the confidence of our youth. They're not confident at all. Very discouraging. Because very few young people, even those who are educated, whom you can have a very strong, a sincere, and meaningful discussion with. Very few. You have a short discussion, 2 sentences,
It's done.
Complaining. Complaining. So that is another barrier, because very few youth, Faith is here, she can testify, who can be able to articulate issues confidently and tell, this is what we want. This is what I want. This is what I stand for. These are my values. These are my principles. This is what I've covered. We get frustrated because they are not able to articulate. Another barrier. Now I'm talking about the barriers which are coming from themselves.
The youth themselves.
Fear. Youth are full of fear. I don't know from where, but I don't know whether it is the fear which is taking away their confidence, or it is the lack of confidence which is causing fear, but the two are going hand in hand.
But the fear could be historical. Sometimes kwa Kiswahili tunasema aliyeumwa na nyoka akiona unyasi anashtuka. So huu ni woga ambao unatokana na kile ambacho mtu amepitia awali. For example, say SG, not you now, the office. Faith walks in, and the way they are received there, they know this I am not going to come here again. The way they are received, the way they are approached, the way they are wanarudishiwa, the way the issue they are trying to bring to the table are approached, wanasema, no, I don't want to come here again. Now this is historical. This is because I've gone through this. I don't want to do this again. Fear. So it could be inatokana na vile watu wakubwa wanawafanya.
When I was in school, many years back, I was taught, I was taught something we call the art philosophy. Do you know the art philosophy?
No, I don't.
The art philosophy, it's not a philosophy per se, but they call it a art philosophy. It says that when a rat gives birth, the first instruction to its
young one
is that I've brought you into this world, but you are alone. Jipange. So that is why even if a rat gives birth now, and then a cat approaches, the rat does not care whether it has left its young one, because they are supposed to jipanga. The rat tells the young ones, be courageous. You are alone in this world. I think the fear you are talking about is, I think we've over-nurtured our young people. Even they have no confidence of facing the world. You see, they cannot do anything on their own. Such that we are talking about leadership. I must push my daughter or my son or my grandchild for him to apply for a job. It's like they are doing it for me. I must try and know where opportunities are.
Faith, do you agree that you've been over-nurtured? Melisha Sellerak sana.
So the over-nurturing is what has caused them to lose confidence.
Is it?
I think it depends with the family, but it depends. But generally, I side with him. I side with her.
Is it that the society that we are living in now, compared to the yesteryear's society, is letting us down? I mean, we are bringing up people who cannot stand up and be counted. Is it that the society is, watoto wa millennials, the Gen Zs here, bala?
I think upbringing inachangia sana, especially from the family setup. Family. Because there's a difference between a child who has been brought up in a home where they're taught how to be bold and confident, and ambiwa sasa hapa, it is you, learn how to do A, B, C, D, E, now with the guidance. And then there's a difference with that, and a child who anafanyiwa kila kitu ukimtandika, that's an issue, akifanya makosa, you correct them. That's a big deal. See, there's a difference. But even in this generation, Gen Z, where there's such an upbringing, I still believe there are people who are being brought up the way they're supposed to be. They're being shaped nicely, even in the family setup.
You talked about SG on fear and lack of confidence, and I also want to remain on the youth again. What I feel sometimes is what it becomes a barrier to them, having meaningful engagement in terms of leadership. I think pride is also something that we as young people need to work on. They always say pride comes before a fall. So you get into a position, you unamea pembe, you become untouchable, you don't want to learn, you don't want to be asked questions, you don't want to be directed and told this how I think you should do these things, and then after that it's a downfall. You go down again. So coming up, nobody cares about you because SG told you, Faith, you're in this position, but I believe if you do 1, 2, 3, this is the right way. But because of your kifua and all that, you fail. Pride is also something that you need to work on.
Yeah, actually, because youth, most of them, not all of them, but majority of them, they are so proud, and they believe I cannot do this, I cannot do that, I remember when I got my first employment, and I was qualified, very qualified, but my appointment letter, I was young because I was about 24 years. So in my appointment letter, above the duties which
was stipulated in your job description.
That is my area of specialization. But then there was something which was added down there. And I'm sure my boss can remember. I told her, can you explain this? Because at the end, it is said, and other general duties. So the devil was in the general duties. So I asked, okay, fine, with my legal knowledge, the HAPA, there's a problem here. So I asked him, what are general duties? I want to know. You know what my boss said? You are at the mercy of your boss and the firm demands. That explained everything. So the assistant to the boss said, yes, you can even be told to go and cook tea. So you can be told to go and do service.
Yeah.
You can be told to go and take the course list. I remember how she explained to me, laughing and saying, yes, we know you're qualified to do ABCD, but you can also, the general duties means that you cannot just sit there. If at all you don't have somebody to go serve, for filing, to go for service, you can go.
Yes.
And I said, it's okay. And true to the word, I can tell you on several occasions, even in my position, I did service. Taking letters. Yes.
And this is not your JD. This is not what you're qualified to do.
No.
But you have to do it because you're under the mercies of your...
I want to tell you today, not many youth can agree to do that.
It's not in my JD, man. It's not in my job description. That
is not what I applied for.
Yes,
I cannot do this. That is why we have so many, because of pride, we have so many youth resigning, taking over different jobs all the time. In fact, most employers are complaining that they are not comfortable working with the young people. Why? Because they are not sure whether they will come tomorrow. They keep changing. They keep changing. In fact, every young person in employment, anywhere, including here, maybe apart from Kelosi, is looking for a job somewhere. Every young person working somewhere
is
looking for a job elsewhere.
But that they want to grow. They want to explore and become better.
True. I don't object. But my argument is they are on transit.
So you can't trust them.
You can't trust them. So, therefore, that is a big problem. And I agree with you. I'm confirming what you say. Yes, it is a big problem.
Even because we need to move now and look at what are the practical ways now to bring youth on board. But before then, I also want to touch on this. The youth need, for you to deliver in a position, you also need the support, especially financially. And for me, I feel lack of that in budgeting, lack of budgeting for good youth leadership anywhere, either in a company, in a nation. Also causes even the church, exactly. That is an hindrance to having youth now grow up into positions, because you cannot put me in an office of influence and I don't have a budget. How can I run this office? So I think that is something that we also need to touch on.
Yeah, I think it's true. This is the problem we explained last time, and we have phobia, which is the fear of young people. Yeah. So there is a feeling like young people should not be supported enough, that if they are given money, they are going to misuse, that if they are given positions, they are not going to do them well. Yeah. So it is a big problem, and it is a real problem, which we need to address. Because yes, many young people are crying, we are not supported, we are not getting enough, which is true. If we don't equip the young people, they'll never deliver. And then we'll start complaining that they are not delivering. How can they deliver if at all we don't support them with the finances they are requesting for, or which is required within their position? So, but this one, again, comes because of the issue we talked of gerontocracy. Because
exclusivity of leadership.
Yes. Who is there at the boardroom to advocate for and to forge for the youth? So that when we are doing budgeting, you'll be able to explain, no, the youth need this million so that they can be able to do ABCD. Who is there? Until when we'll be able to fight the problem of gerontocracy, either at the political leadership, at the corporate leadership, even at home, in the church, then this is going to remain as a big problem.
Yeah.
Because old people will always have this fear, as we explained, of epiphobia, and they will never trust the young men.
So even as we conclude then, what practically needs to be done? Let me begin with you, Faith. What do you feel needs to be done now for the youth to come on board as meaningful people in leadership positions from where you're seated as a young man, as a young person, a young lady? Yeah, you know, when God created man, I believe he created. So anyway, what needs to be done to have now youth into positions of leadership, and not just positions, but meaningful ones that are going to cause influence?
I think for starters, mentorship could be really nice, where you get either a seminar or a meeting, or you get youth involved, the ones that seem that they can be in leadership. You get them involved in things like planning committees. Like I remember last year, I was able to be a part of the planning committee of a wedding, my elder in church. So it was a learning experience for me, because I also knew how to make notes very fast and plan everything, call this, call that, ensure things are in order at a very young age. In fact, in that committee, I was the only youth, and it's because he was a youth at the time, doing a wedding in church. So such opportunities, they might seem very little, but they really are impactful, especially for a youth who is really interested or has purpose to be in leadership.
So for you, mentorship is the core. SG, what more needs to be done now to really onboard the youth into leadership?
Okay, thank you, Kelosi. I think the starting point, while discussing on how the practical ways and steps of getting youth into leadership, is where she stopped. Number one, we need to understand that our community, including in leadership, political, church, corporate, everywhere, it is never complete without the young people. It is never complete. So we are getting it wrong when we don't understand the importance of the young people within our cycles and circles and paradigms of leadership. Now, several practical ways where we can deliberately and purposefully have youth into leadership. One, it is developing them deliberately. Assign a budget to develop the young people at whichever level. Let us not have a youth ministry which is led by old people and gerontocracy.
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't. True. Last time we talked about how can we have a youth, the Minister of Sports, who is
50, 60, 70 years
70 years. What are you saying? No, that one does not make sense. Develop them. As we develop them, we need to identify their gifts, because they are differently gifted, their talents, and what we have. And that is something we need to really look for. What are their abilities? Let them bring them up, develop them. Number two, we need to give them space. Because what the young people are crying for is they be given space so that they can demonstrate their leadership skills.
Opportunities.
Even if you're in class and you've done a PhD in leadership, and you have got no space of using that, then it is of no use.
Yeah.
Give them space. Let them make mistakes, because we can only collect them while they are there. They should be allowed to be themselves in leadership. Let us stop seeing like they are going to destroy. Let us trust them. Let us value them. So that space should be given. The other thing is what you said by passing. They should be treated like equals. Treat them well.
Yeah.
So when we engage Faith to be in the board, can we treat her like an equal?
Sio yako hapo yeye ni
Sio at the mercy of us.
Yeah.
She can be here, but her role is to give us tea. No, that is not right. Let us treat them, like equals.
Yes.
So that one is very important, because many times, even in leadership, we bring them, but we don't treat them like equals. What do we achieve? We only hurt their ego.
Yeah.
So they feel like we are not adequate, we are not able, they quit. So
and that now will push that
to push
phobia
them down,
that you said,
to destroy them.
Yeah.
To destroy them.
Yeah.
The other thing is what again you said, empowering them. We need to empower, to empower them in all aspects. So that one should be there. Are they empowered? Being empowered is certificates, fine. But are we empowering them? Many youth today are doing entrepreneurship, but are they empowered to get into that? Nil. They are not being empowered.
Yeah.
Then she talked about mentorship. Mentorship is important, but I add something else. If at all we are mentoring our youth to get into leadership, it should be what I call thematic mentorship. Mentor them.
But on what?
On what?
Yeah.
On what? So it is not today, Faith is here, Cont'd TV. Then tomorrow, she's somewhere off. Let it be deliberate, and it should be very thematic,
and
so
focused.
that we align them with very clear responsibilities.
Yeah.
Very clear responsibilities. This one is lacking, because I've seen the old people who are claiming to mentor the old people, tossing them all over. And at the end of the day, if you ask them, what have you done? Then nothing. Nothing. They have not been assigned any responsibilities, so that they are assessed, and then they are grown within that thematic area. So that one is good. Then we've talked about the confidence of the young people. Kindly, as leaders, we have a responsibility of building the confidence of these young men and women. It is our responsibility. You see, when you see somebody, know that he or she is a product of many other people. You cannot make yourself. We have a God-given responsibility of building these people and giving them confidence. Look at the Bible. Jeremiah, when he was called by God, he said, no, I can't. Moses, when he was called by God, he said, no,
I cannot even speak.
Can't. But the one who called him had a responsibility of building that person so that he would, or they would become confident enough to take the task ahead. But look at us, what we are doing with the young people. If she makes a very small mistake, I capitalize on that. How many young people are crying because they have not been given a second chance? They made a mistake, or they said no. These days you can offer a young person job and the first question is, what is my salary?
Yes. That's the first question.
That's the
How
first
much am I taking home?
Which is a very bad question. Very bad question. Because I'm employing you, what are you offering? First. So, yes, salary is important, but when you start there, and many people have declined job offers because of this. But instead of giving these people a second chance, we are now castigating them and saying they can build confidence. The other thing, so that
we conclude. Time
yes, is the issue of helping the youth on the matter of adaptability. The world is changing, and definitely it is changing. And for us to be able to help these people to get into leadership, we must help them and show them how to adapt with the times and the changing things. So they need to adapt. If at all they don't adapt to the changing world, they should forget about anything called leadership. They must learn. So, and they must adapt. Finally, for us to help the youth to be in leadership, we must help them on the necessary networking. When I'm going to my, for my meetings, am I able to tag along several young people to go with me? I'm attending international forums. Are we taking our youth with us? We have our church forums where we bring the who is who in the church. Are we involving the youth, or is another forum of gerontocracy? So we need to have youth so that we help them create necessary networks. You are meeting politicians, you are meeting businessmen, CEOs. Can I just assign one CEO to ask him kindly, mentor Faith, work with her? Not about salary, but mentor this person to become a duplicate of what you are. So if I don't take my son to such forums, how will he continue mingling with his age mates, talking about alcohol and girls and boys? And so, as readers, we have a responsibility of ensuring that we have young people within our networks and helping them to connect. So, those are some of the practical ways of
onboarding the youth into leadership.
Yes.
Wow, what a great session that we've had today. And I think for me, one thing that I'm taking home is that age is not a bad thing, but how do you behave yourself and conduct yourself around that age? Either you are old or you are young. What matters is how you're using your age to be of impact to the society. So gerascophobia, gerontocracy and all that can work, to the best of all of us. It doesn't matter the phobia that you have, Faith, whether gerascophobia or you are old enough to have FAB4. This are tough. FAB4 phobia or what? It's how you use that to impact the society. So maybe just give you a last word on what you've touched on leadership. I mean, do you feel this is something that is going to be of impact to the society now? Now that as a youth of the PCA church, sitting closer to the SD, and tapping from what he said here, is it something that you're going to improve on your fellow young people wherever you come from?
It has been a good session, and I believe it's very, very impactful, especially for everyone who is watching. And just to urge my fellow young people to be bold enough. It's something that you can work on step by step, but be bold enough to speak up, to interact even with the older people. I never knew I could sit next to SG right here. And by the way, please connect me to that CEO.
Yeah. You need to stay closer to him. He mingles with the who is who. But you have to make sure you don't have that phobia that is scophobia, the fear of the elderly, because his friends are definitely older than you. So if you have that, you cannot survive in such a forum. Anyway, it's great to have you. SG, thank you very much for these sessions. They have been great. This is a series that we've done on youth and leadership for the past 2 episodes. I believe if there is more, we can still have these chances to talk about youth leadership so that we can empower and capacitate and grow the youth to take positions that the SG sitting on, the moderator and other people who will be exiting the scene earlier than we do because we have a younger age than they are. Thank you also for being a part of this show. Thank you for the feedback that you've sent on social media, on SMS number. We continue to look at them and give you tailor-made answers to what you are asking and maybe what you need to know, and continue to even give your feedback and your suggestions on what we should incorporate in the show to make it better, because this show is not just for us, it's for you, it's for the leader, but also for you to help us grow together. And last word, SG, when I speak, Lord.
Yeah, thank you. My last word is that our youth is capable. They only need to be given a chance. We need to build them. We need to incorporate them. We need to value them and to empower them.
Yeah.
So we cannot have a complete society or a complete organization without the youth. So let us have them on board in our leadership.
Let's have them on board on leadership. I want to make sure that I get the right date where we will be here again on another show of Uongozini, another episode. I think it will be on, is it on 4th of September? I'm trying to look at my calendar, it's misbehaving, but I believe it's 4th of September. Yeah, 4th of September. Yeah. We'll be here again for another show. Just stay around and get to know what we'll be talking about in terms of leadership next time. My name is Vincent Kerosi. I want to say thank you very much and have a good night and a good week ahead and a good month ahead, of course. God bless you guys and thank you for being part of this show.
Thank you.
Great. Kwaheri. Have a good night.
Good night.